3 Night's Watch rangers head into enemy territory to track savage wildlings that have been spotted there earlier, and immediately split up, bodies arranged in a symbol that bears little to no relevance for the rest of the series. Discount Matt Damon.
Whatever did it to them could do it to us. They even killed the children.
It's a good thing we're not children.
Discount Matt Damon takes this meaning in the completely wrong way. Will says they even killed the children to convey the message that whatever killed the wildlings is a merciless killer. They tied up the horses, didn't they? There's no way this guy made it out of Castle Black, seeing as people there needed to open the tunnel gate for him and then likely ask questions as of why he is 2 men and 3 horses down. Not only that, he makes it far enough away that he gets captured by Winterfell men instead of the Night's Watch themselves. Also, this guy just notices that there's a bunch of riders in front of him, and they're much closer than the ones behind him. Jon Snow teleportation.
Go on. Father's watching.
He was also watching before. Why are these highborn girls learning how to sew like commoners? Sean Bean isn't dying in this scene.
Tell Bran he's coming too.
Ned, 10 is too young to see such things.
He won't be a boy forever.
But he's 10, therefore still a boy.
And winter is coming.
How does seeing a beheading prepare him for winter? I'd assume during a standard winter the Stark kids would be holed up in Winterfell by the fire.
I saw the White Walkers.
That's racist.
People need to know.
Yes, they do. Did they not even question this guy?
You did well.
He could have closed his eyes for all Jon knows.
What is it?
A deer, Jon Snow.
Suffolk beast.
There are no direwolves south of the wall.
Yeah, why would it go to the effort to travel south of the wall? Too bad we didn't question that deserter who also went to a lot of effort to get south of the wall. Googly eye funeral.
When we were 7, you jumped off the cliffs at Castle Rock.
Castle Rock.
You should be the hand of the king.
That's a note I can do without. The days are too long, the lives are too short.
This is coming from the guy who made this Hand of the King's life too short.
Why is your mother so dead set on us getting pretty for the king?
Yeah, especially since she doesn't allow me anywhere near the royal family for being a bastard. Ah yes, the royal party that has been visible for many minutes since exiting the woods. I am only just now acknowledging that I see it. Jesus, how quickly did they get dressed? How does the hound see out of that thing when it's closed?
Tell me about Jon Arryn.
One minute he was fine, and then burned right through him, whatever it was. I loved that man.
Clearly not enough to properly investigate his death. Jaime can tell that Tyrion is in this particular brothel by just putting his ear to the door.
Oh, I hear he's more than earned it. I hear he's a drunken little lecher, prone to all manner of perversions.
Clever girl.
Tyrion praises Ros after being insulted by her. Here, have a feather, stroking a statue.
Touch it. Go on. Feel the fabric.
Daenerys and Viserys don't have an extra limb from all the Targaryen incest.
Let them see.
You're the only one looking at her, you creep.
Chomaka, Karl of Vejve. May I present my honored guests, Viserys of House Targaryen, the third of his name.
Starts in Dothraki but finishes in Common, for those of you who didn't turn the subtitles on.
I would let his whole tribe fuck you. All 40,000 men and their horses too, if that's what it took.
Because that would make you look like a good, respectable king and all.
He's so handsome. When would we be married? Soon, or do we have to wait?
Hush now. Your father hasn't even said yes.
And yet he told you that you would wed Joffrey if he did say yes.
He'd have to leave home. He'd have to leave me.
Why? Jon Arryn's wife and kid lived with him in King's Landing. We know this because later Lysa Arryn sends a letter to Catelyn from the Eyrie after fleeing the capital.
You're Ned Stark's bastard, aren't you? Did I offend you? Sorry. You are the bastard, though.
Fears insulting Jon for calling him a bastard, but continues to address him as such.
The boy I beheaded. Did you know him?
Of course I did. Just a lad. But he was tough, Ned. A true ranger.
Yet we didn't question him after deserting, even though he's probably been through all manner of shit to be described as a tough ranger.
A Dothraki wedding without at least 3 deaths is considered a dull affair.
The Carl later executed 2 people to ensure the wedding will be remembered. They're about to have sex on a bunch of jagged rocks. Convenient climbing footholds and handholds are convenient. He survives this.
The Dothraki have 2 things in abundance. Grass and horses. People can't live on grass.
Supermarket value lasagna.
Dad, you can't!
Joffrey needs to lean down to allow Tyrion to slap him, and yet he is slapped a further 2 times.
Bread and 2 of this little fish. And a mug of dark beer to wash it down.
And bacon, burnt black.
I'm pretty sure that servant had walked way out of earshot before Tyrion finished his order. Also, bacon burnt black?
Is Bran going to die?
Apparently not.
What do you mean?
Voices concern over Bran not dying. Speaking of which, how did Cersei and Jaime escape the broken tower? I'm pretty sure by the time they got dressed and made it back down there would already be a massive scene.
It's no mercy letting a child linger in such pain.
The child is in a coma.
I hope the boy does wake. I'd be very interested to hear what he has to say.
My dear brother, there are times you make me wonder whose side you're on.
Tyrion is too smart to not understand Jaime and Cersei want Bran dead. The blacksmith looks at Jon like he's about to purchase the entire shop's stock of Viagra and Playboy magazines.
Septimal Dane says I have to do it again. My things weren't properly folded, she says. Who cares how they're folded? They're going to get all messed up anyway.
You're not even folding them properly now.
I have something for you. And it has to be packed very carefully.
A present.
Close the door.
Somewhere deep in the internet there exists fanfiction on this scene, and I'll save myself a bottle of brain bleach by not looking it up.
I can't do it. I really can't.
Do what exactly? Robb will be the new Lord of Winterfell, and you've got 2 less children to worry about. You're not taking on any additional responsibilities in the absence of Ned.
You said goodbye to Bran. He's not going to die. I know it. You Starks are hard to kill.
And Walder Frey proves him wrong.
The next time we see each other, we'll talk about your mother.
Sean Bean forgets that he's Sean Bean.
Yours was, Alina? No, you told me once. Meryl? Your bastard's mother.
Wyler.
How could have Ned stayed around Wyler for long enough for her to gestate a baby? Weren't they at war and never in one place for long?
This Khal Drogo. It said he has 100,000 men in his hall.
100,000? I've never seen more than a couple of hundred, and seeing that they were travelling in single file, the length of that horde must have been a few dozen miles long at least. Finding strength in fossilised dragon eggs while being raped.
Ah, rapers. They were given a choice, no doubt. Castration or the wall.
Tyrion somehow knows the exact crime that the 2 have committed to be sent to the wall, despite them only just arriving. The assassin makes it this far into Winterfell Keep without needing to make any distractions, but for some reason feels the need to set a fire going to distract Robb, who was only there temporarily anyway. Direwolf Ex Machina.
Welcome.
Pictured, US-Mexico border 2020. Was Bran lying down on that grass long enough to cause this patch to die? You don't know how long that strand of hair has been there. People used to live in this tower, didn't they? And yet this strand of hair somehow brings her to the conclusion that Bran was pushed, risking war in the process.
What about Bran?
I have prayed to the Seven for more than a month. Bran's life is in their hands now.
Nothing's changed about his condition since you swore to stay by his bedside until he woke. If anything, his life's in even more danger now that there are assassins after him, and Cat is willing to leave Winterfell? Also, we later find out that Littlefinger sent the assassin, meaning that Cersei and Jaime made no attempt to prevent Bran from spilling the beans, other than pushing him out the window, and the only reason he didn't spill the beans is because he doesn't remember the fall.
No, Khaleesi. You must look in his eyes always.
Sex ed with practicals.
Was it him there making you shake? He frightens me too. Look at that face.
Says the guy with half of his face burnt off.
Away with you, dog. You're scaring my lady. Don't like to see you upset.
Sansa gives no indication that she is upset. Arya somehow dodges every single swing with no training.
Got you, you little cunt!
Then kill her already! 2 direwolf ex machinas in 1 episode. Also, both Bran and probably Arya would now be dead if the execution party didn't investigate the cause of death of a random dead deer in the road. That sword's expensive, right? And it's made of metal and would probably sink straight to the bottom instead of being carried away by the current. Did they make no attempt to recover it?
Go! Leave! Now! Go!
None of the Lannister soldiers see or hear this.
The butcher's boy. You rode him down. He ran. Not very fast.
Ned doesn't even know what the butcher's boy looks like. Character dying while another waits cliche. How did the Starks arrive at King's Landing after the Baratheons and Lannisters, even though the Stark party is much smaller? Told to attend a small council meeting but stops on the way to talk with Jaime Lannister for backstory purposes.
When I watched the Mad King die, I remembered him laughing as your father burned. It felt like justice.
I don't understand why people give Jaime a hard time about killing the Mad King. Sure, he may have broken his oath as Kingsguard, but it shows he has a sense of morality. Speaking of which, Ned broke his oath to be loyal to the Targaryen throne when he joined Robert's rebellion.
My brother instructs us to stage a tournament in honour of Lord Stark's appointment as Hand of the King.
Letter is sealed, but Renly already knows the contents.
Can the Treasury bear such expense?
I'll have to borrow it. The Lannisters will accommodate, I expect.
Or you could just lower the prize money, or offer something that isn't money.
Everyone who isn't us is an enemy.
Just about the worst advice to give to a future king. Also, she says this after telling Joffrey that the North cannot be directly held, therefore the Crown needs a close northern ally to hold it for them.
Don't you like it?
I haven't played with dolls since I was 8.
Ned is shocked to learn that his teenage daughter doesn't play with dolls anymore.
May I come in?
Says this while coming in.
Whose sword is that?
It takes 10 seconds for Ned to notice Arya wielding a sword.
I don't want to frighten you, but I won't lie to you either. We've come to a dangerous place.
Then why not send Sansa and Arya home in the meantime? Sansa can't marry Joffrey until she comes of age, which doesn't happen for another season. You don't even have any plans for Arya.
Don't listen to it. Crows are all liars.
This old lady can understand crows.
Fewer eyes back here, my lady. But still too many.
It's 9 years since I set foot in the capital, and no one knew who I was the last time I came either.
Yeah, but now you're the wife of the new Hand of the King, the second most powerful man in Westeros.
How dare you bring me here? Have you lost your mind?
No one will come looking for you here, isn't that what you wanted?
Littlefinger says this with several patrons and prostitutes in earshot, in an extremely expensive brothel in the middle of a capital city. Chances are most of those patrons are members of the royal court.
It's mine.
Yours?
At least it was, until the tournament on Prince Joffrey's last name day. I bet on Sir Jaime in the jousting, as any sane man would, when the Knight of the Flowers unseated him. I lost this dagger.
To whom?
Tyrion Lannister, the imp.
Who could have sold it, lost it in a subsequent bet, or done any number of other things that could result in it no longer being in his possession. Daggers aren't Tyrion style anyway. Jesus, how much strength was behind that push?
You're a funny man. Huh? A very funny man.
Ned!
Catelyn walked freely around the brothel, including onto the balcony overlooking a busy street. How has she not been recognised yet? Also, Catelyn somehow hears Ned approaching over the busy street.
Broke my nose, bastard.
Gren refers to John as simply bastard, as if bastards are uncommon enough to refer to John as such. I highly doubt many Night's Watch recruits were born inside wedlock.
It's an improvement.
Threatens to slit John's throat with a training dagger.
Everybody knew what this place was, and no one told me. No one but you. My father knew, and he left me to rot at the wall all the same.
No, Benjen tried to convince you to wait a few more years before going to the wall, but you were the one who insisted on going. Also, if John wants to leave, he can. He hasn't taken his vows yet, and he isn't there for being a criminal.
He tells his father what he saw.
We'll say he was lying. We'll say he was dreaming. We'll say whatever we like. I think we can outfox a 10-year-old.
Yeah, but not his father, who is not only the second most powerful man in Westeros, but is also best friends with the king.
I'll go to war with him if I have to. They can write a ballad about us. The war for Cersei's cunt.
Because respectable lords would stand behind a rich house over the king, a rich house whose heir is in an incestuous relationship.
I wish I could see the girls.
It's too dangerous.
Although it isn't dangerous to let Lord Varys, Littlefinger and Jory know their plan. A plan that Sansa and Arya don't even need to know. Incognito exit has time for a makeout session. Also, this back entrance to King's Landing isn't guarded by gold cloaks.
Wine! Lancel. Gods, what a stupid name.
This is the first time Robert brings up the stupidity of Lancel's name, despite him likely squiring for him for some time before this.
You're outlaw. Any last words?
I cut his head off, so no.
Having your head cut off doesn't mean you have no last words.
You walk.
Viserys walks, despite his horse being fine and Daenerys not giving any specific order to have him walk. 2 minutes of Jon Snow walking. Cool view, but there's no kind of guardrail, even though you're standing on ice, and half of the recruits are there for homicide.
When you're 100 miles north of the wall and you ate your last meal a week ago, you leave nothing for the wolves.
Or, a smart ranger would leave a small amount for the wolves, then kill and eat said wolves when they come for the food.
The Night's Watch is a joke to you, is it?
Tyrion hasn't made any joke at the Night's Watch's expense.
Half the boys you've seen training will die north of the wall.
Might be a wildling's axe that gets them. Might be sickness. Might just be the cold.
Okay, maybe I should have seen this before, but why the f*** does the Night's Watch range north of the wall anyway? Wildlings rarely make it past the wall, and when they do, the Night's Watch or any other hold guards kill them before they go too far south. And when things like Mance Rayder's army and White Walkers are reported, they dismiss them regardless.
The Khaleesi have baby inside her. It is true. She does not bleed for 2 moons.
I need to ride to Quahor.
No one puts 2 and 2 together when Jorah suddenly has to leave after learning that Daenerys is pregnant. Also, why would Robert Baratheon trust Jorah Mormont anyway? He was exiled for being a criminal, and yet he trusts him to go on a mission as delicate as ending the last Targaryens.
Starks are all's right eventually. Winter is coming. This one will be long, and dark things will come with it.
We've been capturing wildlings. More every month. They're fleeing south. The ones who flee say they've seen the White Walkers.
Oh, so you're convinced after a couple of wildlings who have every reason to mislead you told you that White Walkers exist, but not after one of your best rangers swore he saw them, even when his head was on the chopping block?
All men are made of water. Do you know this? If you pierce them, the water leaks out, and they die.
Except you, who will be shanked in the belly several times in a few years, but will survive because you befriended an actress who could also perform surgery. Discount Vietnam flashback. Also, Ned has a flashback of a battle, despite him watching his daughter practice duel in a foreign style, and also likely has watched or even trained his own sons in sword fighting. Obscure symbolism in a dream cliche.
Anyway, you don't have a choice. Rob's waiting.
I don't want to go.
Neither do I. But Rob's Lord of Winterfell. which means I do what he says and you do what I say.
It's expected of a 10-year-old boy who recently sustained a life-threatening injury to attend court.
Stupid rebellion, then. I suppose your father realized that when your brothers died in battle. Now here you are, your enemy's squire.
Wasn't Theon Ned Stark's squire? If so, why didn't he go down to King's Landing with him?
We're done for today. Go clean the armory. That's all you're good for.
You know, maybe if you actually treated your recruits with some level of respect, the Night's Watch wouldn't be so short-staffed. Wait, I thought Jorah was going to Qohor. Did he really make it all the way there, exchange information with spies, and then all the way back before the Horde even arrived at Vaes Dothrak? And in half an episode?
Pile of mud. Mud and shit and twigs. Best these savages can do.
Says this while standing under a large stone statue of 2 dueling horses.
If my brother was given an army of Dothraki, could you conquer the 7 kingdoms?
The Dothraki have never crossed the narrow sea.
Did no one seriously advise Viserys not to buy off a Dothraki horde when the Dothraki are famous for never crossing the narrow sea?
The swords of the vanquished. 1,000 of them. Melted together like so many candles.
Melted together like so many candles.
And I've seen a pirate who wore his weight in gold.
That sounds painful. And also impractical.
But as you got closer to the Iron Throne, they got bigger. And bigger. And bigger.
Oh, f*** you.
It's the Hand's tournament that's causing all this trouble, my lord.
The King's tournament. I assure you, the Hand wants no part of it.
Call it what you will, Lord Stark, sir. The city is packed with people and more flooding in every day.
What's so bad about the tourney anyways? The additional commerce it brings to King's Landing may even offset the cost of the tourney itself through tax. Also, why are the Gold Cloaks unprepared for a tourney? It hardly seems like an uncommon thing under Baratheon rule.
I could not save him. His sickness struck him very hard and very fast. I saw him in my chambers just the night before he passed. Lord John often came to me for counsel.
I find it hard to believe that the Grand Maester, with all his years of experience, couldn't figure out it was poison. Even if that poison is undetectable, it's more likely going to be that than some unknown fever that kills the victim abnormally quickly.
Sirio says a water dancer can stand on one toe for hours.
You're not even standing on one toe.
It's a hard fall down these steps.
Sirio says every hurt is a lesson.
Yeah, but chances are you would fall backwards or to either side than down the stairs.
Can I be Lord of a Holdfast?
No, but you can be the Lady of a Holdfast and take on all the responsibilities of a lord, as Sansa does down the track, and how many probably are right now, like Lyanna Mormont.
Your sons shall be knights and princes and lords.
No.
Oh, come on. Is Arya really the first tomboyish highborn girl in Westeros? Does every highborn girl act like a lady impeccably to the point where everyone finds it incomprehensible that Arya doesn't want to take on the traditional roles for her house?
On the morning of my 18th name day, my father came to me. You're almost a man now, he said. But you're not worthy of my land and title. Tomorrow, you're going to take the Black, forsake all claim to your inheritance and start north. If you do not, he said, then we'll have a hunt. And somewhere in these woods, your horse will stumble, and you'll be thrown from your saddle to die. Also, I'll tell your mother. Nothing would please me more.
After listening to Sam's sob story, he and Jon become best friends.
And do you see that scepter, pretending to read her book?
Larissa the Queen.
No, she's one of mine.
Giving away the identity of your own spy.
Lord Baelish, perhaps I was wrong to distrust you.
Distrusting me was the wisest thing you've done since you climbed off your horse.
Ned still shouldn't trust Littlefinger, as the only reason he thinks he's helping is to woo Catelyn, and yet Littlefinger can't go all out with her until Ned is out of the picture.
Look at me.
Ned can somehow tell that Gendry is a Baratheon bastard by looking into his eyes.
He likes to do this when I'm on duty. Makes me listen as he insults my sister.
Cersei and Robert are in a political marriage. It's hardly disrespectful if they didn't marry for love. Gold necklace foreshadowing. Also, despite slapping him with blunt medallions, he gets a cut as if they were sharp.
In the brothel, Miss Rose took off her clothes. But I couldn't do it. Because all I could think was, what if I got her pregnant? If she had a child? Another bastard named Snow.
Jon comes to this realization after he already paid for the night with Ros. Also, I'm pretty sure you can take precautions to prevent such things from occurring.
My brother will never take back the 7 kingdoms. He couldn't lead an army even if my husband gave him one.
And you're just realizing this now? That guy should have worn more armor around his neck.
The Hound was just a pup. 6 years old, maybe. Gregor, a few years older. Already a big lad, already getting a bit of a reputation. One evening, Gregor found his little brother playing with a toy by the fire. Gregor's toy. A wooden knight.
Boy with a reputation for violence owns toys.
Lord.
Knocks on the door, but comes straight in anyway.
It's made too small, Your Grace. It won't go.
Your mother was a dumb whore with a fat arse. Did you know that? Look at this idiot.
Lancel was about to put Robert's breastplate on without doing his undershirt up first.
Oh. An inspiring sight for the people, eh? Come, bow before your king. Bow, you shits!
Robert isn't dead from being morbidly obese yet.
The Knight of the Flowers.
Discount gay Prince Charming. This helmet has the same crippling flaw of the previous mountain victim's helmet. Also, how the f*** do you see out of that thing?
Now what will I buy with 100 gold dragons? A dozen barrels of Dornish wine? Or a girl from the pleasure houses of Lys?
This man owns several brothels. No one notices this.
Stop this madness in the name of your king!
Bows to dodge a sword swing. No one in Westeros can tie a knot capable of holding a horse. This guy doesn't get knocked out, as we hear from the subsequent grunts when Tyrion mashes his face in with a shield. So why doesn't he make any attempt to get up afterwards?
You need a woman. Nothing like a woman after a fight.
Well, I'm willing if she is.
You can clearly tell which characters the screenwriter ships.
Bran.
Bran is sitting up without a backrest despite being paralysed waist down. Sword fighting practice.
But there are things you must know. You are the king's hand, and the king is a fool. Your friend, I know, but a fool.
Ned needs someone to tell him this.
The tears of Lys, they call it. A rare and costly thing. As clear and tasteless as water, it leaves no trace.
The king is a glutton. It shouldn't take this long for the Lannisters to find the right time to poison the king. Especially since if you poison Jon Arryn and pass it off as a deadly fever, then you could poison the king soon after and pass it off as Robert catching said fever.
He's found one bastard already. He has the book.
Arya reaches the secret tunnel as Varys is leaving it, meaning Varys either teleported from his meeting with Ned to meet the spy, or Arya has been after the cat for several hours and Varys should have spotted her on his way down. 90 seconds of discussion on obscure Pornhub categories. You know, Arya could have just waited until they left and then gone back the way she came. There was no need to go out this back entrance. Also, there's a back entrance to the Red Keep that wasn't behind a locked gate.
You promised me this would stop.
They said they were going to kill you.
Who did?
I didn't see them. But I think one was fat. I'm not lying.
Ned has no reason to not believe her, especially since he knows a lot of people want him and the king dead, and she was hell-bent on telling the truth on the Kingsroad incident.
Pardon, my lord. There's a Night's Watchman here begging a word.
This guy has a bad habit of knocking on doors and coming straight in anyway.
I'm here to find men for the wall. See if there's any scum in the dungeons that might be fit for service.
Oh, we'll find recruits for you.
Why does Yoren have to go to the Hand of the King about this? I mean, sure, he has more personal news as well, but I doubt using the former as an excuse to see him personally would work. This bullshit natural rock formation is bullshit.
The whore is pregnant.
You're speaking of murdering a child.
I warned you this would happen back in the north. I warned you, but you didn't care to hear. Well, hear it now. I want them dead. Mother and child both.
Why did the king bother to call a small council meeting if he had already made his mind up?
Should have had them both killed years ago.
Yes, you should. In fact, why didn't you get Jorah Mormont to backstab them as soon as he got within 10 feet of them?
When do you return to Winterfell?
Why, what do you care?
If you're still here come nightfall, I'll take you to see the last person John Arryn spoke with before falling ill. If that sort of thing still interests you.
Why should it? He's endangering his daughter's lives by staying in King's Landing for any longer than he has to.
You pollute my home with his presence.
Breastfeeding in court. There's a skylight here, despite there being another full row of cells above this one. 3.5 minutes of You're the Rightful Heir because Joffrey, Tommen and Stannis are
Let's say Viserys Targaryen lands with 40,000 Dothraki screamers at his back.
Thought it was 100,000. Still, I'm yet to see more than a few hundred people in Khal Drogo's horde.
5. 1.
You're holding 0 fingers up.
Brothels make a much better investment than ships, I've found. Whores rarely sink.
What about that girl who just had Robert's bastard? She couldn't have made him any money while she was heavily pregnant.
Take him alive. Kill us now.
Didn't he just say he wanted Ned alive? Why is this prick charging at him with a spear?
For my brother, Lord Stark. I want him back.
Told to take him alive, but then leaves him in the street to bleed out. Oh, so he wasn't left to die after all, meaning some peasants or city guard helped him. Also, Ned is brought back into the Red Keep despite him having no formal position there anymore. Robert and Cersei are just standing above him. How long had they been standing there before Ned woke up?
By what right dare you lay hands on my blood?
I am the king's hand.
You were the king's hand.
Peace and
Cersei makes the argument that he can't have Tyrion in prison because he is no longer Hand of the King, despite him being Hand of the King when he gave that specific order.
Lord Stark was returning drunk from a brothel when his men attacked Jaime.
Quiet, woman.
Oh, come on. Not everyone in King's Landing is on Lannister payroll. Jaime and his men left Ned in the street and then fled the capital, meaning that he would have either have had to been helped by peasants or more likely the city guard. No information could reach Cersei before Robert himself.
She's had her fun, now put an end to it. You hear me? Send a raven and put an end to it.
Ned doesn't know Catelyn went to the Eyrie. In fact, she made everyone believe she was going to Winterfell. He has no way of contacting her.
the hunt.
Killing things clears my head.
Despite a large crisis unfolding that could potentially lead to war if not handled correctly, and the king understanding the gravity of the situation, the king goes on a hunt that will last at least several weeks. Putting a magical object on a fire to turn it into another magical object cliché.
They attacked your father. They've already started the war. It's your duty to represent your house when your father can't.
Listening to war advice from a member of a house famously terrible at war.
Where's Bran? Don't know. It's not my house.
No, but you are still a servant to that house. The Starks don't have to listen to you, but you have to listen to the Starks. Also, how is Bran even able to wander off? Did they bring no guards with them? Even though the three of them are highborn lords, one of which is a heavily dependent cripple?
The boy's worth nothing dead. Benjen Stark's own blood. Think what Mance would give us.
Even if Mance knew Benjen Stark, I highly doubt some common wildlings would be aware of this connection. Wildlings that are deserting Mance's wildling army anyway. This hits Rob with the blunt edge of her sword. Tyrion could easily take precautions to prevent him from rolling off, such as sleeping with your feet to the edge in the corner. Tyrion retreats to the edge of the cell instead of the back corner.
I don't want to practice today.
Then why did you even attend?
And there is only one thing we say to death. Not today.
Syrio breaks the student-teacher boundary rule. That's a bit of a ridiculous amount of meat to go through in 90 seconds. I'd struggle to eat a well-cooked burger that size.
The stallion who mounts the world. The stallion is the Carl of Carls. He shall unite the people into a single Khalasar.
Apparently, this Dothraki omen isn't good enough to convince Drogo to turn around and go invade Westeros.
If I sell one egg, I'll have enough to buy a ship. 2 eggs, a ship, and an army.
It would have to be a pretty big ship, or a pretty small army.
And you have all 3.
I need a large army.
This prick thinks a 100,000 strong Dothraki horde isn't large.
You swore an oath to me. Does loyalty mean nothing to you?
It means everything to me.
And yet here you stand.
And yet here I stand.
Viserys has a sword, and he's in a tent made of straw and cloth. He can just make a new exit to escape.
Maud, take him back to the dungeon. This time find a smaller cell, with a steeper floor.
Why does Catelyn even allow Lysa to put Tyrion's life in danger? Granted, Catelyn didn't know what a black cell was when she first arrived, but now that she knows that Tyrion could very easily die in one, she should no longer want to keep him prisoner here.
Open the moon door.
Why would showing Tyrion the Vale's method of execution make him reconsider? It hardly seems like a painful way to go. If anything, it's an even quicker death than the headman's axe. Also, this castle is completely structurally sound, despite much of it being suspended on a tall mountain in a wet climate.
I name my brother, Jaime Lannister.
The Kingslayer is hundreds of miles from here.
Send a raven for him. I'm happy to wait.
The trial will be today.
Lysa accepts that Tyrion has a right to a trial by combat, but doesn't also acknowledge that he also has the right to choose a champion and to allow adequate time for the champion to arrive.
You ever fuck a Riverlands girl?
Once, I think.
Maybe it was a trap before traps even existed. Also, I think the king's brother and the commander of the Kingsguard has the power to stop Lancel from offering Robert wine if they're concerned for his safety. Did you really have to pour all that shit on the floor? You could have just pulled 1 or 2 out.
The one who was leading them, taller by a foot than any man I've ever met, saw him cut the blacksmith in 2. Saw him take the head off a horse with a single swing of his sword.
That sounds like someone we know. The Mountain.
Millions of people live in Westeros. Even by Ned's standards, that's pretty weak and vague evidence to directly convict the Mountain. Also, I'm surprised the king didn't denounce the Mountain himself after he went ballistic at the tourney.
You wear your hair like a real southern lady now.
The Scepter only just now comments on this.
Where are you from anyway? The north or the south?
I come from a very small village in a...
I just realised I don't care.
And Sansa is supposed to be the well-mannered of the Stark girls.
I hear Jaime Lannister attacked Lord Stark in the streets of King's Landing. Every man for 100 miles will be marching off to war soon, and most of them will never come back. There's nothing left for me here.
Fair enough, but I thought most of the Lannister-Stark issues were non-public information by this point.
I don't want someone brave and gentle and strong. I want him. He'll be the great...
My thoughts exactly, Arya. Speaking of which, I still don't understand why Ned keeps Arya in King's Landing if it's not entirely safe. She won't be able to marry anyone for several years, and a lot can happen in that time as this show demonstrates. She isn't engaged like Sansa is.
And I'll give him sons with beautiful blonde hair.
This somehow gives Ned the notion that the Baratheon children might not be Baratheons, even though the king and many others have commented on their golden hair before.
Keep away from me!
Viserys, please.
The Dothraki apparently turn into snakes when Viserys draws his sword. Also, I thought it was just as bad to carry a weapon than to wield one in Vaes Dothrak. Viserys is clearly carrying a sword, and yet they don't start hissing at him as soon as he walks into the tent.
Look away, Khaleesi.
No.
Ultra fast melting gold. Also, a wood fueled fire wouldn't get anywhere near hot enough to melt gold anyway. No. Not only does the gold melt stupidly fast, it also cools to being completely solid within seconds.
Summoned to court to answer for the crimes of your bannerman, Gregor Clegane, the Mountain.
How did they even get Ned Stark's message if they're in a temporary Lannister military camp? That's not how ravens work, assuming they work like homing pigeons. Also, it takes 7 episodes to meet a character that has been alluded to holding even more power than the king. The richest man in Westeros is about to gut a stag himself, because symbolism?
Why is he still alive?
Tyrion?
Ned Stark.
One of our men interfered. Speared him through the leg before I could finish him.
No, you said that if Ned was killed by Lannister men, then Tyrion would be killed by Catelyn. But now Jaime makes up some bullshit on how it wouldn't be a clean death.
I'm giving you half of our forces, 30,000 men. We will bring them to Catelyn Stark's girlhood home and remind her that Lannisters pay their debts.
You're sending 30,000 men to retrieve a single prisoner? Wouldn't a skilled strike team be far more efficient and effective?
He might be the lowest of the Lannisters, but he's one of us. And every day that he remains a prisoner, the less our name commands respect.
So the Lion does concern himself with the opinions
No, that's not an opinion, it's a fact.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that if Jaime had killed Ned in the street, then it would have hurt the Lannister name as well.
Jaime would have killed him. My brother's worth 1,000 of your friend.
Your brother? Or your lover?
Okay, I know Ned Stark is the Abraham Lincoln of Westeros, and values his honour above his own life, but he's not that dim to believe Cersei will accept defeat and won't play dirty to preserve herself. Also, Ned doesn't ensure Sansa and Arya have left King's Landing before throwing the shit at the fan.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win, or you die.
Roll credits. Littlefinger perving on kids in the bath. Also, Littlefinger is writing in a book with these two going at it in the same room.
Why don't you join us, my lord?
I'm saving myself for another.
Littlefinger then proceeds to out his miserable love life to these two whores.
I'm not going to fight them. I'm going to fuck them. That's what I know. That's what I am. And only by admitting what we are can we get what we want.
Littlefinger is basically monologuing here to make sure the audience knows he's a bad guy. What's the point of shackles around her legs if she can walk just fine in them?
If your father's lord, how can you be lord too?
I will be lord after my
So
father.
you're not lord now?
This uncultured wildling knows more about Westerosi politics than the heir to a noble house.
The things you speak of, they've been gone for thousands of years.
It wasn't gone, old man. They were sleeping.
Are you serious? Is everyone in Westeros so cynical, even Northerners, to not listen to these stories, even though they've been repeated by not only fleeing wildlings, but Night's Watch Rangers? Things would have turned out far better if they did.
Not even talking to them. I never talk to them.
Wow, apparently being Jon Snow's friend is the best cure for a fear of heights. Also, there's no way that torch could stay lit in this wind. See? It's not even lit in the next shot.
That's my Uncle Benjamin's horse.
How did it even get in if Sam didn't blow the horn?
Where's my uncle?
Where's my friend slash family member cliche?
Ned! It's Robert. We were hunting a bull.
Weren't you hunting miles away to the point where Robert couldn't stay in the castle? If so, then why do you look like it happened 2 minutes ago just outside?
To serve as Lord Regent and Protector of the Realm upon my death. To rule in my stead until my son Joffrey comes of age.
There's no way he wrote the rest of that letter in 30 seconds from how slow he's writing now.
The girl. Daenerys. You were right.
Character admits you were right while on his deathbed cliché.
You have the honor of addressing Daenerys of the House Targaryen, Khaleesi of the Riding Men and Princess of the Seven Kingdoms.
There's no way Jorah could hear what Doreah was saying over the busy market.
You're allowed to look happy. It's going to be a ranger.
As always, my brain keeps referring to its shut up section whenever Sam opens his mouth.
Of the Night's Watch. Lives his life for the realm.
Why did you come down from your speaking post just to continue your speech? Is it just so Alistair Thorne can go to where you were standing to have a staring match with Jon Snow?
I was named in the light of the Seven, as my father was and his father before him.
Why would you forsake the gods of your father and your house?
Because I'll get my ass beat if I'm not with Jon Snow to back me up.
May I go?
As you wish.
Sam just bowed before a blind man.
Stewards are nothing but maids.
You're saying this to two stewards. Also, you still haven't taken your vows. You're still free to leave the Night's Watch if you want to.
He named you Protector of the Realm.
I guess I'm sinning Renly's ability to tell what's in a sealed letter for the second time in one season.
And what should I do with 100 swords? Strike! Tonight while the castle sleeps.
Why when the castle sleeps? With 100 swords, you could do that in the day. Doing it at night just makes Cersei's treason argument easier.
What's best for the kingdoms? What's best for the people we rule? We all know what Stannis is.
No, we don't. We don't even see him this season. How's the audience meant to root for Renly if we have no idea who Stannis is apart from a few mentions of him?
He's not a king. I am.
Modest much? Also, Renly says this isn't about the line of succession, but after he dismisses his brother, he refers to the next person in line as the rightful king, who is conveniently himself.
You promised Catelyn you would help me. The Queen has a dozen knights and 100 men-at-arms. Enough to overwhelm what remains of my household guard. I need the gold cloaks.
Oh, so now Ned wishes to go cloak and dagger, but with Littlefinger? Someone who he should still distrust because he's in love with Catelyn?
When the Queen proclaims one king and the Hand proclaims another, whose peace do the gold cloaks protect? Who do they follow? The man who pays them.
No, they obey who the previous king named heir, who is Ned until Joffrey is old enough to make rational decisions and also Sansa.
What will they do to him?
No one is guarding this assassin who just made an attempt on the Khaleesi's life.
All hail his grace, Joffrey of houses Baratheon and Lannister, the first of his name. King of the Andals and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and Protector of the Realm.
I like how Joffrey isn't questioning why Ned is bringing an entire army with him to supposedly bend the knee.
Those were the king's words.
We have a new king now.
A king that has no right to the throne yet because the previous king said so. The King's Guard should be loyal to Robert's words above all else.
I did warn you not to trust me.
Littlefingered. Why the f*** is Arya and Sansa still here? He told them that they were to be sent home an episode and a half ago. Why would Ned do something so dangerous with them still in the capital? The soldiers are standing in a defensive position, as if the scepter is armed and will try and take them on.
My tongue lied. My eyes shouted the truth. You were not seeing.
I was so. I watched, but you...
Watching is not seeing, dead girl.
Lesson on lying before being lied to for real cliché.
Foreign bastard.
This bull.
There she is. What do you want? Want you, wolf girl. Come here.
How is there already a bounty on Arya? It's been what, 5 minutes? Ned shields his eyes despite no additional light entering the room.
Not so much, my lord. I would save the rest if I were you. Hide it. Men have been known to die of thirst in these cells.
I can literally hear water dripping from the ceiling.
The younger one seems to have escaped the castle. Even my little birds cannot find her.
Your little birds must be pretty useless, seeing as a stable boy found her 5 minutes after she left.
I trust you know you're a dead man, Lord Eddard.
He's Sean Bean. I'm pretty sure his character's death was the first thing presented to him.
The smell.
What smell?
There is none. If they'd been dead for a long time, wouldn't they be rot?
Not if they've been subjected to constant freezing temperatures.
Snow's not wrong, my lord. Fire will do for them. The wildling way.
The Night's Watch, sworn to kill wildlings on sight, still respects their traditions.
Is there any word of my father?
Sit down before I tell you the bad news cliché.
No, I'm not. I'll be a good wife to him. You'll see. I'll be a queen just like you, I promise. I won't hatch anything.
I think Ramsay Bolton will see to that.
Call the banners.
All of them, my lord.
They've all sworn to defend my father, have they not?
They have also sworn to be loyal to the king. Also, Tywin Lannister's mistake becomes Robb Stark's mistake. A small, skilled strike team will be far quicker, efficient and effective than a large, cumbersome army. All they're trying to do is nab 3 prisoners. Lewin's a maester, right? He's technically loyal to the Order of the Maesters, who are loyal to the crown. How many ravens do they have? And they're all going to houses loyal to the Starks?
Does family mean nothing to you? Family means everything to me.
I know Lysa's supposed to be not too bright, but I'm pretty sure she would jump at the chance to destroy the Lannisters.
Mainly interested in your facility with murder. And if the day ever comes when you're tempted to sell me out, remember this. Whatever their price, I'll beat it.
Tyrion later signed up for narrating adverts. Discount Dovahkiin.
My house is rich and powerful. If you see us through these mountains, my father will shower you with gold.
Like Khal Drogo did to Viserys.
You're confined to quarters. Go.
But I won't ensure that you remain there, so you can find the discount zombie before it kills me.
Ghost? What's wrong?
He's been doing this for at least 10 seconds. Also, you're talking to a wolf when you're the only person in the room.
Lord Commander?
Music goes quiet before jump scare cliché. Yeah, it's not like that fire will spread or anything.
I thought the Dothraki didn't believe in money.
Gold to hire ships, Princess. Ships to sail to Westeros.
I'm not trying to make you feel bad or anything. These people's suffering is all for a good cause.
Lamb or lion, his wound must be washed and sewn, or it will fester.
Nah, I'm pretty sure Drogo is gonna die from AIDS anyway, from wiping the other Dothraki's blood on his wound.
Your meat is bloody tough.
Why are they making war decisions at dinner anyway? Everyone's clearly drunk.
Where are you going?
South, for father.
But it's the middle of the night.
The Lannisters have spies everywhere. I don't want them to know we're coming.
The Union of Lannister Spies recently demanded that the employees only work in daylight hours, and that they have 3 weeks paid leave annually.
Must always be a Stark in Winterfell. Until I return, that will be you. You are not to leave the castle walls while we are gone, do you understand?
What about Rickon? I don't think Bran can even be Lord of Winterfell, as he can't exactly perform his duties as one, if you know what I mean.
You hear them, boy? The old gods are answering you.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, I mean, you did try to kill me a couple of weeks ago. How come you're allowed to roam the castle grounds freely now?
You're not a slave.
As I said previously, that doesn't seem to hinder your movement whatsoever, other than preventing you from running or climbing. Hodor's prosthetic dick.
Only fire will stop them. How'd you know that? I read about it in a book. A very old book in Maester Aemon's library.
Yeah, well, Maester Aemon's clearly becoming senile and losing his mind if he's keeping books like that.
You too, Greyjoy. You're bloody deaf.
Have no fear, my lady. We'll shove our swords up Tywin Lannister's bunghole.
That sounds like an unhealthy fetish. Also, this prick uses profanity in front of someone he just bowed to.
From Sansa.
From the Queen, you mean? There's no mention of Arya.
No.
Yet you continue the war as if the Lannisters still have her as a hostage. Wait, no one stops them? Yeah, Tyrion is leading them, but most Lannister soldiers don't know what he looks like.
We shall require 3,000 helms and shields, plus swords, pikes, gorgets, maces.
Where did this prick come from? Why are people allowed to wander so casually into Tywin's tent? He could have been a Stark assassin for all they know.
It is also the wish of His Grace that his loyal servant, Janos Slint, commander of the City Watch, be at once raised to the rank of Lord.
You had to pay Janos Slint off to stay loyal to the crown.
You let my father die. You're too old to protect anybody.
Aha! So that's where Meryn Trant got his motto.
Even now I could cut through the five of you like carving a cake.
Then kill them already!
Cersei knows you as a man of honor. If you give her the peace she needs and promise to carry her secret to your grave, I believe she will allow you to take the Black and live out your days on the wall.
Yeah, but she would still have Sansa and force her to marry Joffrey. And Arya will still be missing. Robb would still keep going until all the Stark hostages are freed.
Keep shooting them down. We can't risk Lord Walder sending word of your movements to the Lannisters.
Walder Frey could just send the ravens out of the other tower.
I'll go. I have known Lord Walder since I was a girl. He would never harm me.
What do you want?
David Bradley isn't stroking a cat in this scene. Wait.
You.
Father, you forget yourself. Lady Stark is...
Who asked you? You're not Lord Frey yet, not until I die. Do I look dead to you?
The screenwriter was told to make Lord Frey look like a dick with 45 seconds of screen time.
You see that? 15 she is.
Discount Jimmy Savile.
Stark, Tully, Lannister, Baratheon. Give me one good reason why I should waste a single thought on any of you.
I'm pretty sure this mindset is probably why no one wants to marry your sons and daughters.
This is Valyrian steel.
How do you know this? I couldn't tell the difference of blade material between Ned's greatsword and a normal one. Is there a smell to it?
Go on, let's have a look.
At what?
The sword! Show us the sword! 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 Sword!
What? Did everyone know that Jon was going to receive the sword before Jon himself?
And Arya will marry his son Waldron when they both come of age.
You don't even know if the Lannisters still have Arya held hostage. Either way, you can't guarantee her safety, especially if you march on King's Landing.
Did you get a look at his daughters?
I did.
And?
One was...
Okay, now Rob's just being a dick. Actually bringing whether his to-be wife is pretty enough as a deciding factor on whether or not he accepts.
Sam said you wanted to see me?
Blind man cutting up meat. 3 minutes of Maester Aemon giving Jon his life story, because hearing sad life stories are the only way to convince Jon Snow of anything. Half-conscious Drogo is somehow able to keep his horse on track, despite leaning wildly from side to side.
When the battle commences, you and your wildlings will be in the vanguard.
The vanguard? Me and the tribesmen, on the front lines.
Yeah, and you can stay at the back of the vanguard, then fall back if or when they start to die.
The odds of me living long enough for him to retaliate have just dropped drastically. We'll be at the vanguard tomorrow.
Oh, well. I think I'll go and find myself one.
Is Bronn sworn to the Lannisters now? If he thinks his odds of dying are high, then why doesn't he just leave?
He will die tonight, Khaleesi.
Jorah can tell this by looking at a wound covered in so much blood that you can't even see it. This guy dies by getting his cheek slit.
Are you hurt?
The baby
Hmm?
is coming.
baby coming at inopportune moment cliche.
Our lord here used to be married.
Married?
How did you hear that?
No, you hear lots of things playing dice with Lannister soldiers.
Another night, perhaps.
But I thought you expected this to be your last night anyway. These two are sleeping on the floor, even though there's a massive bed next to them. Not even the Northern Wilhelms are safe. How the f*** has no one found Arya? She's been in King's Landing for the better part of 3 episodes, and not one Lannister spy finds her.
Baelor!
This is like shouting Jesus at someone in Rio de Janeiro, and then proceeding to look at the Cristo Redentor. Also, none of the royals notice Arya standing on the statue. Not one of them.
I am Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell, and Hand of the King.
Pause of reluctance before swearing fealty to Joffrey, as if he hasn't had enough time to fully decide before saying here.
Don't look! Let me go! Let me go! Shut your mouth! Look at me!
I get everyone is high on bloodlust boners, but no one bats an eye at a grown man grabbing a young girl against her will. Does Ilan Payne not get an executioner's axe? Does he have to use whatever weapon the prisoner owned?
Stop it! Stop!
Stop! Another Sean Bean bites dust. Showing flock of birds flying off instead of showing tragic main character death cliche.
Look at me! Look at me! Do you remember me now, boy? Eh? Remember me? There's a bright boy.
That's racist.
Do you want to live, boy?
Why are you not telling her your plans straight up? She's just seen her father die. Do you really think she needs to be worrying about what you're going to do to her?
North, boy. We're going north.
Because now the Lannister spies will pull their fingers out of their asses and actually manage to find you in the capital city or something.
We went down into the crypts. My father was there.
Your father's not down there, little lord.
Why is a wildling who tried to kill Bran now allowed to carry him around the castle freely?
I came to see father. How many times have I told you he's in King's Landing with Sansa and Arya?
Says the guy who just said he saw his father down here as well. You know, 2 minutes ago.
You both miss him. It's only natural he should be in your thoughts and dreams. But that doesn't mean that...
Bran.
Lewin talks in a bad news tone, and Bran and Usha instantly realise that it's news of Ned's death, because something saw it in a dream something. Why did the Lannisters go out of their way to publicise Ned Stark's death? It's more beneficial for the Lannisters to make the Starks think that Ned Stark is still alive.
Rob! You've ruined your sword.
That's your first worry.
Very amusing. Isn't it a funny song? Thank you for your rendition. I imagine it was even better received at that tavern.
I'm so sorry, Your Grace. We'll never sing it again.
Joffrey gave no indication that he disliked the song. After having to be forced to look at her father's head by Joffrey, Sansa then looks back at it voluntarily.
The King in the North! The King in the North! The King in the North! The King in the North!
Nice moment, but the crown more or less leaves the North to its own devices, especially if the king that sits on the throne there was helped up by the North. There's really no reason for them not to make an allegiance with Stannis or Renly, and everyone seemed pretty content with it until Lord Umber made his suggestion.
Because you are going to the deepest of the 7 hells if the gods are just.
What gods are those? The trees your husband prayed to? Where were the trees when his head was getting chopped off?
All the weirwoods in the south have been cut down, which according to the old gods' religion means they have no power there. Also, Catelyn refers to the 7 hells, so which ones could they be?
I pushed him out the window.
Why?
I hoped the fall would kill him.
Why?
You should get some sleep.
Oh, come on. Saying that you pushed him because he saw you banging your sister would still make your character look better than saying you pushed him and not giving a reason. denying Tyrion from pouring wine just to pour him a cup anyway.
You will serve as Hand of the King in my stead. You'll bring that boy king to heel, and his mother too, if needs be. And if he gets so much as a whiff of treason from any of the rest, Baelish, Varys, Pycelle...
Head spikes walls.
Page 1 of the Lannister Handbook. Also, if Cersei can't even control Joffrey, then how is Tyrion meant to?
My child was innocent.
Innocent? He would have been the stallion who mounts the world. Now he will burn no cities. Now his Khalasar will trample no nations into dust.
Maybe I should have pointed this out earlier, but how was Daenerys' son going to be Khal after Drogo? I thought the Dothraki didn't honour bloodlines anyway.
You can't! Get out my way, Sam. They'll put out the word. They'll send out ravens. People will come after you. Do you know what happens to deserters?
Jon's attempting to abandon the watch in the dead of night, yet he woke up Sam for some reason. Despite Jon getting a head start on horseback, Sam somehow wakes up Gren and Pip, saddles the horses and catches up to him.
He said, don't bring Shay with you to King's Landing.
I believe he used the word whore.
Are you ashamed of me? Are you afraid that I'm dancing around the court with my tits out?
No, he just said he wasn't allowed to take you. Sam, Pip and Gren easily catch up to Jon, but fail to close any further distance when they are 100 feet away. You just heard he's alright. Why are you going back?
I've truly known, more kings than any man alive. They're complicated men, but I know how to serve them.
Wait, there's someone else in this room?
I must be one of the few men in this city who doesn't want to be king.
You must be one of the few men in this city who isn't a man.
Why does every conversation between Littlefinger and Varys include the subject of Varys and his sex life?
No one asks an orphan too many questions, because nobody gives three shits. What's your name?
Ari.
Why Ari? Wouldn't a completely different name be better?
What's a gutter rat like you do with a sword?
Maybe he's a little squire.
He ain't no squire, look at him. Looks like a girl.
As it always is with the Starks, their closest friends started off acting like dicks to them.
Do you think your brother's war is more important than ours?
No, because you're not making a big deal about it. All you've done is sent Thorne down to King's Landing with a severed hand.
You don't understand.
Don't ask me to stand aside as you climb on that pyre. I won't watch you burn.
Is that what you fear?
Ugh, why does everyone speak in f***ing riddles? Just tell the truth and save them the grief. My internal scientist just cringed upon watching that. Why did everyone wait till morning to investigate the fire? Did it really burn all night?
Traitor!